Okay. Everybody all right? Everybody see me? Everybody see the iPad, I should say? Okay. Let's see. So I guess I've already given you guys a minute or two. If you haven't already, why don't you take a minute and solve this problem of the day? Okay, the activator. It's find the solution to the arc cosine of the square root of 2 over 2. And probably want to try to do that with no calculator. And while you're doing that, maybe I'll talk a little bit about what's going to be going on with us going forward. So what I'm planning on doing is we are going to be covering some new material. So I'm going to have a class with you guys at this time every week. Okay. I'm only going to have one required class. And then after, if you need help throughout the rest of the week, I'm certainly available by email, or, if you want to sit down and do some problems with me, I'm happy to set up a Google Classroom here like this, or a Google Hangout, excuse me, and we can work out, do some problems. All right. So those are kind of as available by appointment as you want. I was finding that not many people were showing up to the office hours, so I'm just going to make it available as appointment as needed. So the deal is I'm going to be giving you guys a couple assignments a week. I'm going to give you one new video, and then we'll have a class, and then I'll give you some problems to work on, either at the end of class, or you can finish it for the end of the week. And then I'm going to put up one review assignment as well. So this is what I'm planning right now. It might change in the future, but so it's really kind of, you watch a video and you do the classwork assignment. That's one of them. And then the other one is, a review assignment with a video that you maybe look at quickly or refer back to as needed. And then do a worksheet that goes along with that review video. In case you get stuck on any of those, I've been trying to follow the videos pretty closely, really kind of changing the problems, but they go similar to what you see in the video. So if you get stuck, look back at that, as well as looking back at your notes. But that was my plan. And then I'm going to take one of those grades and kind of like an arbitrary random one and count it. So it'll be one of the two. So, if you want all your, if you want the best grade, do both of them, and you'll be all set. So that's what I'm planning going forward, until we get back to school, whenever that is. I don't know. So any questions so far? If you got questions, you can either unmute or feel free to type in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that stuff too. No? All right. Okay. So I'm going to ask you guys to watch the video before the class, on Mondays for you guys. So I'll put it up the next week's, either tomorrow or Wednesday, one of the two, so you can get it done before the weekend. I always like not having homework on the weekend. If you want to save it for the last minute, that's certainly your prerogative, but I'll try to get stuff up earlier, for Monday, Tuesday kind of thing, and then have it due on the end of the week. Usually I'd ask for things to be due on Friday. This week there's actually no school on Friday because it's Good Friday, so I'm going to ask you guys to get things done for Thursday this week. I'll change the due dates on Google Classroom so you can see it there. All right. So that's what I'm planning going forward. And I think this is good. You'll get to see me do some problems with you guys and answer questions as needed. And I'll give you some time to work on the classwork. If you want to stick around to the end of class, you can get probably most of it done. If you want to work with a friend and do, FaceTime or something, that's absolutely fine too. And then you upload your grades. Now, I've been putting an extra form on there. I didn't realize that you could upload straight onto Google Classroom. We're all learning things as we go here. So I think, are you guys all okay with just uploading straight onto Google Classroom? I figure you probably have it in other classes rather than my making a separate form. Is that all right going forward? Somebody, yeah? Okay, great. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do that from now on rather than having, the extra step. And if anybody gets stuck and doesn't know how to do it, feel free to contact me, and I'll do it, and I'll be happy to help you with just uploading it straight onto Google Classroom without having the extra form. Okay. But everything else seems to be going pretty well. I got to put some more grades in. I didn't get to the ones that you guys finished for on Friday, but I will. And things seem to be going pretty well so far. I'm pretty happy. I know we're getting better turnout than a lot of people's classes, which is great. You guys are good students, so. And yeah, I do miss seeing you guys, and hopefully you're all doing well. If you all need anything or have any problems or anything, feel free to contact me anytime, or your parents or guardians. All right. I don't have a lot of answers to grade things at this point, except for what I'm dealing with right here and now. I promise that whatever happens, I'm going to try to make everything fair. All right. I try to always be that way, and we'll see how the rest of the school year goes. We might get back at some point, and there's a chance we won't go back to school. Some states are canceling it completely. So we're in it together. We'll get through it together, and we'll figure it out. So, all right. All right, so those were kind of the announcements for the class. So from here on out, I'm going to do a lesson and try to get you guys to give me some input on some of these. So if I was going to do this problem, the first thing I'd probably do is I'd look at that and I'd be like, somebody rationalized the denominator. And it's important to remember that the square root of 2 over 2, this is the same as 1 over the square root of 2. Because if I took that 1 over the square root of 2 and I multiplied top and bottom by radical 2, you get square root of 2 over 2. So they are the same thing, okay? And usually the one on the bottom is the one I want to use because if I'm looking at this as one of those special right triangles, this one turns out to be the 45, 45, 90, 1, 1, square root of 2. So I'm looking, remember that the arc cosine put a theta there just so we have something. This is the same as inverse cosine of theta, okay? So in other words, I'm looking for what angle gives me the square root of 2 over 2, which in this case is going to be 45 degrees, okay? Or if you like radians, and you guys should start getting used to these, that's pi over 4, okay? So that's the answer. Questions so far? We're good? Okay. So I got a handful of problems here to walk through with you guys. So you'll probably want to write these down just to get good with these. So the same idea with this one. The inverse sine of what angle gives me square root of 2 over 2. And if I told you it was a no calculator, you'd probably be like, oh, all right, it's the same idea. This is the same as 1 over the square root of 2. So which angle gives me that, okay? So if I take my two right triangles, right, the 30, 60, 90, 45, 45, 90, which angle has the opposite of the 1 and the hypotenuse of the square root of 2, because sine is opposite over hypotenuse. That would quickly tell me that it would be 45 degrees, okay? So once again, that answer is also 45 degrees, pi over 4. And that's it. Any questions? If you got questions, feel free to unmute or just type it into the chat. I'll keep an eye on the chat too. I think I even get a little sound when somebody types something in. All right, this one, a little different. Cosine, and it's negative. So we're in the 2-quadrant kind of thing where cosine is positive here and negative there. Okay, most of the time it's the 1st and 4th quadrant, but cosine's the oddball one. So I know since that one's negative, I'm going to end up being in that quadrant over there, okay? So let me find the reference angle. So I'm going to ignore the negative for a minute. And we'll say this is the 30 degrees, this is the 60, and this goes 1, 2, square root of 3. So my reference angle, cosine, is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So which one is adjacent to the square root of 3? Which angle to the square root of 3 adjacent would be the 30. So that's 30 degrees is my reference angle, which means this is 30 degrees, which means that's going to be my answer, the distance from the x-axis to there. Just so that I don't feel quite so alone, can anybody either tell me what that angle is? How many degrees is that from starting at the x-axis and going all the way around to the 30 there, or type it into the chat. So 150. Nice. Excellent. 2 people. Let's see. If I was to put that into radians, let me break it. 30 degrees is pi over 6. Which means this would be 1 pi, which is 6 pi over 6. So can anybody give me 150 degrees in radians? That would be a voice one, huh? It's probably tough to type that one in. Oh, Julia typed it in. She got it right. Nice. 5 pi over 6. Good. One of those 2 answers would be great. Questions? Okay, this one. Cosine is negative. Once again, here's the cosine. So I'm going to be in the second quadrant. Now they rationalize that denominator again, right? So this is the same thing as the inverse cosine of 1 over the square root of 2, and that's negative. So if I go to my 2 triangles, this one's going to be on the 45, 45, 90. Which means my reference angle, cosine, is adjacent over hypotenuse. So which one is adjacent to the 1, which would be your 45 degrees, which means this is 45. So my answer is going to be that, which would be, somebody want to type that in since we got the work pretty much done there? Nice, good, Josh. It is 135. You go 180 minus 45 would give you 135. Okay, good. Questions? Number 4. All right, so there's 2 of these, and I always have to remind myself which one's which. When you have the regular sign in the front, this is the easy kind, because the answer is going to be whatever that is, which in this case is the square root of 2 over 2. If that was 0.6, your answer would be 0.6. So if these 2 match, and actually you got to be careful because in the next week's work, these things in here, they won't both be sines. One will be sine, one will be cosine, which changes things around. But this week, either it's regular sine in front and then the arc sine, or it's the other way around, arc sine first and regular sine. So when it's regular in the front, and they're both the same, it's just whatever comes after whatever the number is, okay? So that's the answer to that one. But the next one, see how this one's got the arc sine? This one's not necessarily the same. What actually happens is often it has to do with whether it's positive, negative, and the reference angle. So with this one, I'd like to know what that reference angle is, okay? So if I took, what is the sine of 7 pi over 6? 7 pi over 6 is 6 pi over 6 would be halfway around. That's the same as 1 pi, which means that's 1 pi over 6 farther. Okay, so first thing I'd like to know is that positive or is that negative in that quadrant? The sine is positive in these 2 quadrants and then negative in the bottom 2, which means my answer is going to be negative. And I'd like to know what that is if we're going to do, we could either do two things. We could either give me that reference angle in radians or degrees. I'll take either. I know they're both going to be negative. Which angle would give me that? What would my reference angle be? Right there. Either people are getting coffee or stuck. Julie, I'm not looking to start all the way over here. I just want to know how much it is. Oops. How much is that? Just that. Either in degrees or radians. 180 would be halfway around the circle. And if I'm going in the positive direction, what's that reference angle? Must not have done a good job explaining this. So if 7 pi over 6 is going all the way around here, which means it's 1 pi over 6 past the halfway point, halfway around, which means it's either pi over 6, or if I turn pi over 6 into degrees, what would that be? Yeah, Nick's got it. It's 30. There we go. And Anna got the other one. Yeah. Does that make sense? I know that's a little trickier. Okay. All right. This is actually my last problem, I believe. I'm going to write theta as a function of x. So the first thing I'm going to get theta alone at the end, but the beginning part, I want to know, which sides of the triangle I have and figure out, is it sine, cosine, or tangent? So if I'm looking at theta, the 3 is the adjacent. The x would be the hypotenuse, which means I'm looking at cosine, right? Hopefully you still remember those. I know it's been a couple of weeks. But the cosine of theta would be 3 over x. You okay with that so far? Now, maybe one of you guys can tell me this. If I was going to put theta alone, what would go on the other side if I was to take this thing up here and manipulate it? What function would I get? Nobody? Okay. This is good then. Yeah. Good, Julia. Remember that the inverse function is really when you switch the theta, whatever the angle is, and the fraction. So if I want to switch these two, I'm going to go inverse cosine, and then the 3 over x goes here. Or you could call that arc cosine. 3 over x equals theta. One of those two. They're both the same thing. As long as you can tell that's actually an inverse. It's kind of sloppy. There. So one of those two would be your answer. Okay? Questions? Oh, somebody might have got bumped out. You guys all right? Great. So that's kind of what I got for you guys today. I don't think I got anything else beyond that. No, that was it. 6 problems. And that's kind of I tried to give a quick overview of the chapter. Good question, Sam. I'll come back to that in 1 second. I tried to give a quick overview of the lesson that we covered. I'm sure that there'll be some partial credit for late work, Sam. I haven't completely wrap my head around that whole thing. But usually late work is usually half credit. This would probably be similar for that. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's the lesson I had for you guys today. And what I wanted to do with the rest of the period is, there's about a half hour left. You guys are welcome. I wanted to give you an opportunity to work with me around, and you can see. Actually, I have to do it this way. There is an assignment up on Google Classroom right now for you guys. I'm in the wrong class. No, I do. I'm in the right class. I put it. Wait. There it is. There's the new one. So here are the problems I'd like you to do, okay? On page 349 in the book, and I also did a PDF of your book to make it easier so you didn't have to go scrolling through the online book. 1 through 16, no calculator, please. 37 through 48, which I believe you can use a calculator for that part. And this is the PDF. So if you hit that, this should pop up, and it should have the couple pages from the book. Looks like it got a little bent on the side, but you should be able to read it, especially if you zoom in a little bit. All right. So this is the assignment. I'm going to ask you guys to finish this for Thursday. Like I had said, it's just one page, I guess. That's nice. And I will put a second review assignment up. I'll put it up tomorrow morning. I don't think I'm going to have time to get it today, but I'll get it up tomorrow morning by regular class time. Also, I'll have the next video up tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest. Okay, and that'll be due. Watch that for next Monday. All right, does that make sense? Everybody with me on what's going on here? Anybody got questions? If you got questions, please feel free to type it into the chat or unmute. All right. As far as anything else for other grading stuff, feel free to email me or type it into the chat. But this is what I'm planning on doing going forward. Yeah, we're good. All right. So at this point, if you want to stick around and do some classwork and ask questions, feel free. You got other places to be. It's a pretty nice day outside. You can feel free to leave at this point also. Okay. And yeah. That's it. And I'll be here for the next half hour. And yeah, if you guys need me by appointment, send me an email or something, and I'll set up a time for us to get on here for a virtual class. Okay. Great. Thank you.